I want you, just real quick, to think back to a time before you were even born, or even your early childhood. What was your life like back then? Who were your friends? What connections did you make? What movies did you watch? And what music did you listen to? Today we're going to be talking about that last part. A lot of nostalgic music has been made throughout the years, you know? Every single next generation will try to replicate the styles of the generations before it. That's just a fact of life. Everybody thinks that they were born in the wrong era, when in fact that's never really the case. But there are a lot of very cool and unique things to come out of said generations or eras. For instance, synth music, vaporwave-ish music, a lot of these like Windows screensaver style beats that you could really only see in the mid to late 90s, early 2000s. It was almost like a renaissance period of music at that time. I got a text. Oh, my friend Dylan's birthday was 13 days ago. Well, Dylan, fuck you. This synthetic style of music was popularized and made very, very, very prolific throughout the early 2000s. And nowadays, in the year 2024, we look at this music and we call it retro and very stylized. You'd even get these cool kinds of synthy-ish music in the 80s and 90s. But in this video, we're going to be mainly focusing on late 90s, early 2000s. That very niche area. And a certain musician that captures that vibe almost perfectly, in my opinion. And his name is George Clanton. Now, I really just stumbled upon George Clanton like recently because I was listening to Quadeca, of course. This is how most of these stories start. And I was put onto Death's Dynamic Shroud. And George Clanton has a record label that Death's Dynamic Shroud is under. So I decided to give George Clanton a listen. You know, he created this record label. He must be really good at making this style of music. And I was not let down. All of George Clanton's music is really, really reminiscent of an earlier time, way before I was born, but right around when George Clanton was being raised. I think he's in his mid-30s right now. So this would mean he was raised early to mid-90s. A lot of different kind of synths and vibes you're gonna get from that specific period. And he encapsulates that period in a lot of his songs. This style of music is not to be confused with Vaporwave, although it's very similar. Vaporwave is really just instrumental music. I haven't really seen Vaporwave be put into like a pop or even psych rock setting for that matter. But if it was, I mean, that'd be really good. But George Clanton is really just capturing what music sounded like 30, 40 years ago. And it's brilliant. Albums like Virtua and 100% Electronica and even his newest album, Ooh Rap Baya. Ever since I released the 4 Scary Albums video, right after that, I got onto George Clanton, and I don't think I've played a single other track since. It's just so new to me and different, and I actually fell in love with this music. It's great. It's perfect. It's perfecto. Here's the thing, though. The instrumentals that George Clanton makes are very, very unique, even for trying to replicate another kind of sound. The drums, they sound like live drums. I've heard from somewhere that they're not. If I find the video that I'm referencing, I'll link it here. Apologies if I can't find it. I'm drawing blanks right now. George Clanton's vocals really just pair his style of music really, really well. For instance, Bleed off of 100% Electronica. It kind of came off a little bit weird, like the first time I heard Danny Brown, you know, just really like weird kind of like singing. But then you listen to it more and more, and it fits it very, very well. Almost perfectly, in my opinion. As much as I don't think all these albums have a cohesive like start and like end, and they're just kind of just jumbled around, I do like each like designated vibe that an album has. In the promotion material for Ooh Rap Baya, the guy who's like, it's like an early 2000s like 90s VHS commercial, he's like, "This is the loudest George Clanton album yet." He's not wrong. Ooh Rap Baya, very, very loud. I mean, the beginning track, Everything I Want. Let me just make sure I'm right here. Yeah, the beginning track, Everything I Want, starts off with this very, very quiet drum loop and then breaks off into this beautiful like melodies and synths. That song is great. But let's get back into the real topic of the video. Why is George Clanton the king of nostalgia? Well, he definitely didn't get that title by default. could say there are a lot of other bands or people trying to replicate the old style. Like, for example, Death's Dynamic Shroud or Esprit. Wait a minute, Esprit? That's just George Clanton. Or Mirror Kisses. Wait, Mirror Kisses? That's just George Clanton. Satin Sheets is good. Yeah, Satin Sheets is great. But George Clanton, I really think he does it better than anybody else. I feel like he's the king of nostalgia. Now, I'm waiting for someone to go even further back in time and do like 1920s prohibition music in a new style. Yeah, I can't wait for that. But for right now, I think we're gonna stick with this vaporwave-ish style of music. I really enjoy this. I might do a specific album review soon, like Virtua or Ooh Rap By Ya, or maybe even 100 or 200% electronica, and maybe slide. But as of right now, I'm just another music critic, and George Clanton forever. Wait, no, George Clanton 5 ever. I'm just that much better than Anthony Fantano. I added an extra number to forever, so now it's 5 ever. Do you think when it's like 50, people are gonna be trying to like replicate like drill music and like how it sounded now? Do you think in like 2050, 2060, people are gonna be trying to replicate hyperpop? Do you think there'll even be a single original song in 2050 or 2060, or will they all be ran out? This is a little side gig. Thank you for watching the whole entire way. I was about to end the video. My brain just spat out a whole entire different idea. Do you know about the Library of Babel? It's a infinite library, well, almost infinite, that contains every single thing anyone has ever wrote and more. You could look up anything about anyone and it will be there. You can make up a sentence, it will be there. You can think of the most incredible story of all time, 1,000,000 pages, it will be there. But that's not to say that the Library of Babel is the only thing that exists. There's also the Paintings of Babel. I don't know if that's the right website. If I find the right website, I'll put it up right here. And it shows you a canvas image of just about anything. I mean, of course, if you click the random button over and over again, this is gonna be pixels. But if you do that 4 or 5 trillion times, you're eventually gonna get a portrait of yourself surfing or something. Now, is there an auditory version of this? Is there a way we can randomly generate music to make every single combination of sounds possible in order to make every single song? Now, someone has done this, and it's shockingly a small amount of potential songs to make. And that brings up the question, are we gonna run out of music? Please discuss in the comments down below. I am just another music critic, and